go.
I also have a sheet that rather than looking at a sheet with all these points, I can put that on at the end or in the middle. And it's 4 pages and it includes the travel tips that I'm doing. Then it's got a summary of a takeaway, and it also has the Department of Transportation's information about musical instrument and carrying it on airlines. So it's all very helpful information.
Okay, we'll get that on the website.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get that on the website. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my audio.
Oh, I see. Somebody says, "Do you use a strap to secure my case?" I do use a strap to secure my case only because it gives me comfort. I've never, I've never had to use it, but a bungee cord comes in handy when you're traveling for all kinds of reasons. But if I got this little bungee cord on my case, just in case the latches break, you've got, it doesn't have to be a bungee cord. It can be a strap or anything, but, yeah, that's always a good idea to put a strap on your case because it really doesn't add bulk, but you do want to be careful that you don't strap too much on your case of accessories and extra things because it just makes airlines say that's too big. So when you get to the airport, you basically have 3 points of contact with either airlines or TSA. And at each point, you may run into questions, or they may want to ask you to check it. And there are things you can do to reduce your chances of having checked that. The first time when you come into an airport, the first thing you're greeted with is a gate agent, not a gate agent, the ticket counter person. And if you are using the self-service check-in, they still have people roaming around looking at it and say, "Oh, is that a little big? You might need to check that." Or, and again, if you are coming in with luggage and your instrument and all this extra stuff, they're going to pay attention to you. They're trained to do that. So you want to make sure that you look as light, pack lightly, travel as lightly as possible so that it helps stay under the radar. If they say at that point, say, "We're not letting you down to the gate with that, you have to check that," then again, most important thing is be polite and calm. Do not argue with any airline representative. Like I've mentioned that before, but I just have to keep mentioning that. It's not going to go well for you if you want to kind of say, "Well, I've got this printed out from the musicians union and this, your airline policy says this." You really have to be very calm with these people and say, for that instance, I said, "Well, it's a fragile instrument. It's in a case that protects it. May I please take it down to the gate? And if at that point it needs to be gate checked, then we'll figure that out then. But may I please carry it down to the gate to avoid it going into the big tube of automated things, and who knows where it ends up." And so they should agree to that. I've seen that done a number of times. And then when you get down to the gate, typically the gate agent might be a same person, might not be, but typically you're still able to get it on board. But you don't want to check it up at the ticket counter if at all possible. Just say, "I'd like to bring it down to the gate, and then if it needs to be gate checked, we can handle that at the gate." That's number one. When you go through TSA, the more stuff you have in the case or the bag that covers your case, the more interesting things TSA might find to want to open it up. So you have to decide how much you want to put in your carry-on. Sometimes TSA wants to know, like for instance, I have a carbon fiber music stand, which is very light. I'm going to pick up the other pieces. They're on the floor here. This is my entire music stand. It's so easy to travel with. It's light. You do have to be careful with it because it's it's very sturdy. It doesn't knock over easily, but it can knock over more easily than a metal stand. But I prefer to take that risk and keep my eye on my music stand. versus having to carry a heavier metal or plastic music stand around. And these pieces fit inside my contrabass. But by putting these pieces inside my contrabass, especially in the tube, especially this piece, that some TSA people find that very interesting. And so then if I have put this in the tube of my contrabass, some TSA people say, you've got to open that up, and they want to look to see what's inside. Oftentimes, again, you have a picture and you say, that's my music stand. They don't care. They don't even open up the case, but sometimes they do. So typically lately, I've been putting this in my checked luggage just because I don't want the TSA to be handling my instrument if they find it interesting. But it goes in my flute very well when I'm out traveling about. So you don't have to have an extra piece or container or bag to carry this in. The same thing goes for my contra stand. So you have to kind of choose what you put in your carry-on case with your flute. The more you put in it, the more interesting it is to the TSA. Again, TSA, if you tell them it's a musical instrument and ask them to follow your instructions, because they oftentimes don't want you to touch your instrument. Tell them how to undo the case and how to handle the instrument. And sometimes they ask you to handle the instrument for them. Other times they handle it. I've never had one not handle it properly, but they need instruction for it. Don't just stand there and let them do it. Just kindly ask them to say, this is the best way to handle the instrument so it's not damaged. And they don't want to do any damage to your instrument either. So, so that's, so the TSA is the second point where you might encounter. The third point is at the gate as you're boarding the plane. And I like to stay under the radar in the gate area. So oftentimes I'm standing around talking to people and I have my contrabass behind me. I just have it behind me and I'm talking, or I'll go stand next to a pole and the contrabass is up next to the pole and I'm in front of my contrabass just because, and gate agents can walk around, but I just try to stay out of it. And occasionally they'll ask me what that is. And I tell them, they go, oh, okay. But I just try to stay under the radar, and I buy early boarding privileges so that there's space on it. And they typically don't bother the early boarding people. They typically bother the later boarding groups as they're running out of space. So those are 3 places and strategies you can improve your chances of not having any problems as you travel through an airport. Any questions about that much? I have more.
The stand that you were just showing us, is that so there's a stand for your Contra and then
Yeah.
there's a stand for your iPad as well, right? Because you're carrying all of that stuff with you.
Right. This is the music desk for my music stand. It's a little bit, in order to make it the most compact, you have to twirl it around. But this is what holds my iPad on my music stand. And then this you insert into this. Whoop, I'm dropping some pieces on the floor because it's not assembled. You put this in one of these pieces here and you can adjust the height. The legs are all inside each other here. There are 4 legs and they're all inside each other, and you put those on the different holes here. It's upside down. There we go. So that's the base for it. You put the legs on, and then you put this in here, and the music desk goes there, and you can adjust the height, and it's fabulous and all lightweight.
Okay, what brand is that?
I got this through Woodwind Designs in the Netherlands. So, and they sell them. I think Carolyn Nussbaum and maybe Flute World sells them. You don't have to go to the Netherlands to get them, but that's one place where you can get them if they're, and it's probably quicker if they're out of stock at like a flute store. So,
Okay. Let's see. Do you feel that having a TSA pre-check or global entry helps with your instrument travel?
I think TSA pre-check is very helpful because you've already, to get TSA pre-check, the government already has done some screening about you to know that you're not a criminal or a smuggler. So that helps. Global entry really, that's more just to kind of get through customs and passport control. It can't hurt, but I don't know how much that would help as far as whether you check your bag or not. But it
Okay.
does save you a lot of time and stress if you have pre-check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at what else. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, yeah, go on. Next topic.
Okay. Um, let me see. What else? Try to carry your flute in a bag that looks like inexpensive luggage. So, that way, anybody at the airport that might be looking to steal it from you isn't that interested in it. If you have it in a beautiful, expensive bag, it's more appealing for somebody to try to steal. So I think James Galway used to keep his flutes in just like a duffel bag, a junky duffel bag. You want to stay under the radar with, you want inexpensive baggage as you're going through. And the other thing that I always do when you're going through uh, airport screening at the TSA checkpoint, you have to put your luggage on the belt that goes through. Then you personally have to walk through the whatever screening you do, but your instrument is out of touch, but don't let it be out of sight. One time I was traveling at the Orlando International Airport. It was not with my flute, but it could have very well been with my flute. And there was a lady in front of me that did not speak English, and she had a lot of jewelry on. And the jewelry was setting off the alarms when she went through her screening, and they were trying to tell her to take it off. And I guess it was special jewelry to her, and she didn't understand English. So this was this big to do. She was upset. She was crying. In the meantime, I see a man go up to my stuff that's already through on the other side of the screening area. And he starts to take my coat, my scarf, and my purse. And I immediately grabbed the TSA person. I said, that man is taking my stuff. And they said, oh, no, 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 that's his stuff. You must be mistaken. It's from a distance. I said, no, next thing he's going to pick up is a green scarf. He picked up the green scarf. Now he's picking up my navy blue purse. He picked that up. So they went right to him and they asked him to see his boarding pass. And he said, this is my stuff. Why do I have to show you my boarding pass? They said, we need to see your boarding pass. And he goes, oh, I thought this was my wife's. And he just threw my stuff down and left. So regardless of when you're on one side of the screening area and your flute's on the other side, watch it. Keep your eye on it so that nobody bothers it. Because I've seen a lot of theft happen that way. So you just want to be aware of where your flute is all the time. So yeah. And then you need a backup plan. What are you going to do if they do ask you to check it? If you're prepared and your instrument is packed properly, you shouldn't have any problems checking your instrument. Remember, as I said, your instrument probably was shipped to you via cargo. But if you do have to check it at your destination airport, make sure you examine your instrument before you leave and report any damage or report any violation of airline policy to that destination airport before you leave. So they can't say, well, that happened after you left the airport. So you just take pictures, and before you leave the airport, you want to make sure everything is good to go. I've had several friends with larger contra cases that There's no way they were getting on board an airplane with these larger contra cases that have traveled with them and checked them as baggage, and never have they had a problem. But you just have to be willing to check it, or play a concert flute instead of your bass flute or your contra flute. Airlines can make you check it. And if you're not willing to have it checked, you have to have a backup plan about what you're going to do. Like I said, I've traveled all over the world for years and years and years, and have never had to check my contra or any flute as far as that goes. But you need a backup plan just in case. So any questions? That's a lot of talking. Any questions about any of that? But it's a lot of information to improve your chances for safe airline travel.
I think we can go on.
Okay, so I've got just a takeaway. These are a few takeaway points. Airlines, regardless of policy, can require you to check your instrument based on circumstances. So figure that out and just know that. Number two, before booking, know your aircraft's overhead baggage compartment dimensions, as well as their musical instrument policy. Number three, pack lightly and check everything but your instrument and small purse or personal item. When I'm traveling with my Contra, I bring the smallest purse I can possibly get by with. I'm not going to bring the big bag that's got all my books and things like that in it. I bring the smallest purse or smallest personal item I can, because that just helps me stay with less bulk when I'm boarding the plane, and that's what air agents like to see. Board early, pay for early boarding, or even more space seats. You get to board first. And whatever happens, be polite and calm when working through a situation. Being aggressive will never, never work. It only will cause problems for you. So, any questions, anybody? And where should I put my PDF of all of this? Oh, Paige, where do you pack your iPad? Well, when I'm going by myself, that makes my personal item a little bit bigger, and I pack it, I carry it with me, because I don't, would it hurt to have it checked? I don't care, but I just, I've got my music in my iPad. So I carry that with me in the smallest thing I can possibly take, with my cell phone and a toothbrush. So just a little bit as possible. Any tips for a lot of people jam their suitcases up there? Yeah, I put my base up there. That's where I would put my base. They do have a tendency to jam their suitcases up there. But what I try to do is I want to have boarded early, so I'm there before anybody else. And when people put their luggage up there, I just stand up and say, just watch, that's a fragile instrument up there. And people are usually very kind. I just don't let them jam their luggage. I intercept before that happens. Any other questions?
Yeah. I'm not seeing any more coming up. Somebody had a question about a De Medici case, and I
Those are larger cases too. And when you have a larger case, you either have to choose to sometimes have to check it and prepare it well, or buy a smaller case that fits your instrument. So, and do you want me to put my PDF in the chat, or what do we, or on the screen?
we'll just send it to me, and we'll
Okay.
get it on the website. We'll
Okay.
put it up on the website. But it's I can't tell you how important so much of this is. You've got to board early. Don't be a cheapskate. Buy a better seat so that you get on earlier, because it is basically first come, first serve in the overhead bin. And if you get on early, there'll be space, and it's the people after you. Another thing that helps is that you have the airline's credit card that
Right.
also And I realize that's annoying, but I live near a United hub, so I got a United credit card, and that in itself gets you on an earlier boarding group, and
Right.
anything to lessen the stress in your life.
And then
But
just have fun.
it's not as scary as you think. I'm telling you, many times the flight crew makes the final decision, and they will say, "Sure, we got a spot for that." So generally, they're very nice. Every once in a while, you will run into someone who says, "Bang, bang, bang, bang." They're having a bad day, but usually they're very accommodating.
They usually are, and you have to just be calm if they're having a bad day and work through it. Yeah.
Okay,
I
but
hope you all have great travel fun with your flutes this summer. I hope I run into you with your flute this summer, maybe in NFA Atlanta.
yes, who knows? We just keep zipping all over the place. I also will just second Paige's recommendation to travel as lightly as possible, and to stay off their radar, as it were. I usually hide behind one of their big garbage cans. I have my bass flute back there. Not that it's that big, but you just stay off their radar. That's all I can say. Stay off the
Right,
radar.
right.
Oh, and now she's asking about news about the next. Okay, someone is asking me about the next festival, our next festival. We have decided we're going to do one online in the spring in 2026. We do not have dates yet. We were thinking of having one in person, but the economic situation is just too unpredictable. Uh, So we are going to have one online. We are still helping the Adams Flute Center, which is in the Netherlands. They have a low flutes festival, and our group is helping get more low flutes players over to the Netherlands. So they are more or less in charge of that. I'm just helping getting some more people, and we have a little bit of input about what sort of events would be happening there. And that's sort of the news. We have one more online. That's on, I wrote it down. May the 10th, it'll be Allie Ryerson. It's going to be a play along, and she's already sent me the piece. I've already got it. And it's called In the Shade. Um, and would you share the Netherlands info? Okay, well, I can put that on the website. We don't even have a date. They have not set a date for it yet. So we know the address of this store. It's sort of in the middle of nowhere in the Netherlands. So transportation's going to be an issue. They're setting the dates. Yes, somebody about carrying two instruments. I carry my bass and alto all the time. All the time. So the bass is my personal item, and I have my alto in a backpack that's not very big, right? I don't want this giant thing, but I do that all the time, and it's not a problem. But you only get two items,
And
right?
be as
Oh,
light, as small as possible.
right.
Yeah, and doesn't Weissman make cases for multiple instruments as well that you
Yes,
could have in one case? So
yes,
if you're feeling fancy.
yeah.
So it is.
I have a quad case that I got from Weissman, actually the original from 2005, and I sold it because I got a new one that was lighter. And I've never had a problem, but I follow Paige's. Well, I've traveled with Paige. I've been your roommate a couple times.
I know she's a great
and-
roommate.
Even on the train where we had to sleep with our passports under our pillow. I
Right.
remember that. But I've never had a problem. I've taken all four. I've had to take my instruments out and play tunes upon request for TSA, but hey, you have the little ditties and you just play it and play along and they love it, and then you're done. But the quad cases from Weissman, and I don't work for them, but they definitely are very helpful, and I've never had a problem taking them on any plane, and they've been all over the world. So
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a little stressful, but it's not as big a problem as you think it is. It's just not. But do be polite. Do be polite and smile and look like you're a very pleasant, lovely person, and they're more inclined to let you do stuff. So anyway, I'm looking The Netherlands info. Okay, yeah. Okay. Again, we don't even have dates yet. They have a big flute festival happening in about 10 days over there. And so I'm not going to bug them until after that festival is over. They have one every year. They've been having a sea flute festival every year. They've added this low flutes festival in the fall. It will be in the fall. It's at the end of October, beginning of November in 2026 is when that is. But that's as close as a date as I can give you. But anyway, I mean, yeah, low flutes, go low flutes, go low. Anyway, anybody else have any questions? Just throw it there in the chat, and we will. Oh, wear boring clothes. Wear boring clothes. Don't call attention to yourself.
That's right. Want to be under the radar.
Under the radar. Okay, so I will be posting this video. We'll get that posted, and as well as Paige's PDF on our website. And anyway, this is all, it's just all great community information sharing, because we do want to see you in Atlanta or wherever.
And in Atlanta, at the 4 o'clock gala closing concert, there are 2 performance opportunities for low flutes. One is for any low flute to sign up and premiere a new piece. And you have to agree to 2 short rehearsals. And another one is a premiere of a new piece for all contrabass flutes. So if you're a contra, you can be part of a big contra clan to play another new piece at the 4 o'clock gala concert. So signups on the NFA website, or you can email me directly. I have information.
Okay, I'm seeing a question and I don't quite understand the question in chat. It says, how does this work if we have an ensemble heading out from the same place?
Well, I travel with, my Metropolitan Flute Orchestra travels every other year. And when we travel, we always leave from Boston. We're all on the same flight. And we typically have 6 to 8 contrabass with us, and we've never had to check our contras. But again, you arrive at the airport early, you have everything prepared, and it's fine. But you have to board early. You have to make sure you get to board early and pack lightly. Those are the 2 biggies.
Okay, this is all great info. It's all great info. This is the reason this group exists, the International Low Flute Society. We're not just like those sea flutes. We have unique issues that only affect us, and as we've been solving these problems, we need to share the information with people. So, yeah, cool. Okay, I'm going to call this a done deal.
Thank you all so much. It's been fun spending some time with you on Saturday, and I hope I see you someplace with your.
Oops, what happened? Oh, we froze. We froze. Oh no. Okay. Paige will forever be like this. Okay, I'll end this, and I hope to see you guys in Atlanta, if not before. Okay, bye everybody.